For me, mass adoption has already been achieved because it now has the ability for people to own their own money, spend their own money, and there's a monetary policy that rewards the saver as opposed to the traditional system that rewards people that take on debt. We're long overdue another financial crisis, and this time it's going to be really interesting to see if the price of Bitcoin goes up while stock markets crash, then the game over, we've got mass adoption. The killer use case of crypto is actually Bitcoin itself, just owning your own money, spending your own money, and a monetary policy you can rely upon. My name's SimonDixon. I run an investment platform called BankToTheFuture.com. We started in 2010 and we've been investing in most of the major crypto companies from Coinbase to Bitstamp to Bitfinex and many of the major companies. We allow people to co-invest, but my journey started when I left investment banking in 2006 and I gave lots of talks on the troubles with banking. I was introduced to Bitcoin and I spoke at the very first Bitcoin conference in the world, which was held in Prague. And my book, Bank to the Future, was the first published book to cover Bitcoin. Just been watching in amazement as our industry grows from 20 people in a room to where we are today here in Malta with 5,000 people, all from all different backgrounds interested in this technology. So crypto mass adoption depends on your definition of what you actually want to see. For me, mass adoption has already been achieved because it now has the ability for people to own their own money, spend their own money, and there's a monetary policy that rewards the saver as opposed to the traditional system that rewards people that take on debt. And that use case exists. Now, it got its first bit of adoption when people started to realize that they don't own their money at a bank, and then in Cyprus, the money was taken from them, and then Bitcoin price goes up and more people discover it. More recently, people in India start to discover Bitcoin because the government makes their high note savings illegal. People have to stand outside a bank because it's been put into the banking system and risk their lives essentially trying to cash in their savings and put it through the banking system. People start to discover Bitcoin when these things happen. You've got to remember that this first was created during the financial crisis in 2007, 2008. And we haven't solved anything since then. So we're long overdue another financial crisis. And this time it's going to be really interesting to see if the price of Bitcoin goes up while stock markets crash, then the game over, we've got mass adoption. Yeah, it is a barrier system, but there's different use cases for this. So Bitcoin is like this equity-backed, increasing market cap, drawing savings into the crypto economy. And then people are building financial innovation on top of that. The example is stable coins, which are backed to fiat and collateralized by assets like Bitcoin, where you can keep your savings in Bitcoin, but then you can have stable currency to make traditional payments. You can also have crypto debit cards, and so it integrates with traditional financial system. But it's different use cases. Now, what you have to remember is that the majority of the world, when we first started, no one had heard of Bitcoin. But now the majority of the world have heard of Bitcoin, but most people still think it's a Ponzi scheme, a scam, or a currency for drug dealers. While that opportunity still exists, while people still think that, there'll always be the opportunity to make returns as the world realizes that it's not a Ponzi scheme, it's not a currency just for drug dealers, and it's not a scam. The day that everyone knows that it's not a scam, not a currency for just for drug dealers, and not a Ponzi scheme, is the day that Bitcoin could actually become a unit of account, a medium of exchange, and have more of a stable value. But then it's kind of like, at the moment, Bitcoin is a speculative store of value because people can make money out of it. Gold is a store of value because it's about preserving wealth. Bitcoin can get to that stage and have technology that makes it an ultimate payment system. But the fact is that it's not just a currency, it's a technology that then allow people to build different use cases on this exit from traditional financial system that is sucking money out of fiat currency each year at a faster and faster rate. So the reason people get very confused in the cryptocurrency industry is because cryptocurrency is actually going to be disruptive in many different financial products. I believe that the biggest use case of cryptocurrency is disruption in financial products, including the very root of money. And so Bitcoin is our world's best shot we have ever seen at achieving sound money. And by sound money means encouraging savings, fixed supply that can't be changed, and allowing people to own their own money and spend their own money and transfer it digitally, globally to anyone they choose. We've never had that before, and this is the world's best shot we have at achieving sound money. At the same time, people are using the technology to build different financial products like tokenizing assets, and these are very different propositions. This is disruption in capital markets. One doesn't need the other to prevail, but Bitcoin is disruption in terms of investment banking, central banking, whereas these different products are disruption in capital markets, investment banking products. And then eventually you'll have different systems that are built for transactional and retail banking. And then people are looking at the jury's out on all the other use cases, but at the moment all the disruptions having in the financial sector, and it's growing at a really fast rate. To me, the killer use case of crypto is actually Bitcoin itself, which is just owning your own money, spending your own money, and a monetary policy you can rely upon that won't be changed. From that, as people generate more and more wealth, they start to use it for different things. And so, again, the jury's out on exactly what is going to be those different things that get the big use cases. What we've always done at Bank to the Future is we've invested in a completely diversified portfolio of hundreds of different companies, and we allow people to co-invest. And so you can just be diversified because we don't know which companies are going to succeed, which ones are going to fail. But there's a whole lot of energy, a whole lot of people that are building around this technology and looking at each different use case and building that technology. But to me, the ultimate use case is the world's best shot at having sound money, which is Bitcoin. In terms of crypto regulation, we don't actually need to necessarily do anything because it will naturally evolve. We've got this force, this thing called Bitcoin that just can't be stopped by any government or any regulator around the world. They could try and outlaw it, but most people don't have an interest because as soon as someone does that, all the innovation goes to another jurisdiction and we have competing jurisdictions, which are really important. That creates a force that makes it not worth trying to stop this technology. Now, having said that, over time, different things will happen. Regulators will be on a different learning curve. Different scams will happen, different problems will happen, different innovations will happen that make regulations irrelevant. The fact of the matter is that we now have a technology that regulates the regulator, and the regulator need to create different policies in line with what they want in their particular country, and it's reactionary towards the technological innovation because no regulation is going to outpace the innovation. And so they just have to naturally adjust to it. And it's a and different countries are going to have different policies. And I believe that those policies are going to set the future path of growth for that country. The Malta AI and Blockchain Summit has a tremendous amount of energy. People are very excited about jurisdictions supporting the growth of our industry. And Malta has done it better than anyone else at actually achieving and putting all that excitement together and creating a hub. This summit is really the epitome of 5,000 people, it seems, coming together around this subject and this topic and bringing all the important people together and educating people on the subject. So there's a lot of energy here and it's really exciting to be a part of it.